All right, what is up, everyone? I am back, and you know, I figured since I did the non-spoiler review of the Black Prism, I should do the spoiler review because I kept stuttering, trying not to give spoilers, like the whole time. I would be like, and then Gavin, Dazen, except. No, I didn't actually say that, thankfully. But if I had, I could have edited it, I suppose. The beauty of not doing live streams. But anyway, the Black Prism, I loved it. The plot, the main thing that I have to talk about are the plot points that were definitely crazy and fairly unusual. The whole, I don't know, brother swap with Gavin and Dazen, I did not see coming. I had multiple other theories about why Gavin, or why, when I say Gavin, I mean I mean Dazen, but yes, why Gavin seemed so, like, weird around talking about the past, about Karis and stuff, um, and I had a theory of maybe he has some sort of weird amnesia or something. Um, that was one of my theories, and I'm trying to remember the other one. But yeah, either way, I was very wrong, and I think that made me enjoy the book more. In book two, no spoilers for the binding knife or blinding knife, whatever it is. No spoilers for that, but um, the plot twists in that book I was less surprised by than this book. So I think maybe that's why I enjoyed the second book less. But yeah, back to the Black Prism. The King was a good villain. He was like a good frontman villain. The way it was written, it was good that he died, and it makes room now for the more sinister villains with more coherent plans. Uh, and it also gives Kip some street cred. Making Gavin lose Blue, it was a decision that puts his power level more in line with other people. It's like, oh, now he's a little weaker. And now, how is he going to pretend to be Gavin and pretend to be able to craft all colors of Luxon? It's pretty funny how much he's like blatantly lying about his life. I'm in favor of the Gavin Karis will they won't they type thing. The Liv Kip dynamic was also interesting, but now it seems like their paths may not cross for at least some period of time, right? I'm less in favor of the Kip Liv romance just because Liv just like doesn't take him seriously at all. Like, I don't want to say doesn't care about him, but it would be weird. Also, one more thing from future editing Greg about Liv. Her decision to join the Color Prince and Tyria made a lot of sense, and you could see both her and actually Karis in kind of similar positions, both having opportunities to turn on the Chromaria, but Liv does and Karis doesn't. And Liv turning, I think, was good for the story, so you have some character development on the villain side to make things nice and interesting. Um, Iron Fist is a total badass. He just goes and commandeers a cannon and like starts firing it into enemy lines and then somehow gets out. That is like the most badass thing I've ever seen. Karis, speaking of badasses, we've got another badass over here. Also, when Kip was there, with his trials or whatever it was called. That was that was interesting how Gavin kind of you know put like tried to hide what actually happened, and it was also interesting that um, whoever that was put the rope in his hand. How am I blanking on that character's name? Oh well. So he ended up failing the trial, but the only person to but he would have been the second person to succeed the trial. Uh, Second after only his uncle Dazen, who's actually this Gavin. It took a while to get used to like, oh, like this person from the flashbacks isn't actually this person I thought this person was. I almost didn't buy it in terms of, it's like how can someone be a different person and no one realizes it. But then it's like, okay, well they really look similar and it's in an age before selfies and all of that. So I guess I bought it enough to suspend my disbelief to enjoy that plot twist. Um, yeah, what else? I didn't take notes for this. This is really just off the cuff. But yeah, all of these things definitely made me like the book. Even though the days and scenes in the prison were boring as heck, like, oh my god, if there's one thing I don't care about, it's getting into the mind of a prisoner, and there's like nothing good about those scenes. Obviously, the plot twist happened with their one interaction, and the escape into like a second prison cell was pretty hilarious. So the problem with prison scenes is there's only a very few things that can happen, especially in this prison where no one knows he's there, that we know of at least, and no one knows what's going on. So the only things that can happen are he can somehow escape, and that's it. I other than the conversation he had with Gavin, that was everything. And he like kind of escaped and was kind of a cop out, and it's like, oh my god, we're gonna have more prison scenes for the entire next darn book. Let's see, what other characters? The White seems fun, pretty wise and cunning. Um, the most politically powerful with no crafting power. That's interesting. So it's like different types of power. Andros had a good introduction, and he keeps referencing the thing that Gavin doesn't know about, what he's like referencing. So that's pretty interesting. We'll see what happens with all of that. Definitely a good future potential plot twist. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I would recommend reading it. I mean, I'm trying to think. If you didn't like the Lightbringer's first book, would I keep reading if I were you? Um, I don't know. It's tough to say because I liked it. But if you did like it, yeah, keep reading. If you were okay with it, I would probably keep reading, especially the third book I loved. But just the foundation fundamentals are good enough. And by that I mean the magic system and the character development mostly. And the world building, I suppose. Like, world building's fine, you know. Writing style is interesting at parts, but overall it's good. But the main two things that make the Lightbringer stand out are the magic system and the character development. And I think the characters actually get better in the future books. Even though I don't like book 2 as much as book 1, but that's more I book 2 is actually the highest rated of the books, so I think I'm in the minority. And I just think I didn't like book 2, but most people did, and I think I didn't like it just because I figured out what the plot was going to be by kind of a lucky guess, to be honest. But sometimes I have these guesses and I'm so sure about them, and then they spend time leading up to plot twists, and it's just like, yeah, I already knew that. um, all these books are gonna have a good plot twist though, just because that seems to be the way Brent Weeks likes to write books. But yeah, that is it. I could talk about the next books if you guys want. I'm going to read the fourth book and probably do some sort of pre-fifth book video. I talk about it and maybe talk about my predictions, and it'll be pretty hype. I think because most of the books I'm reading now came out, at least a year ago, so they're like obviously very minimal hype at this point, and it'll be fun to be on the hype train. But yeah, awesome. Thanks. Like, subscribe, whatever people say and do. Bye.